we are starting Chapter 8. So 8.1 is polynomials. All right, so first of all, before we can even get into working with polynomials, we have to know what a polynomial is, right? The best way to define a polynomial is terms separated.
Two or more.
No, they can be just 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Separated by addition or subtraction signs.
That's very difficult. Polynomial is a very difficult way to say that.
Polynomial. So, first of all, when we talk about polynomials, if there are listed terms, an example of a polynomial might be that 3x to the 4th plus 7x to the 3rd minus 2x squared plus 9x minus 1. This is a polynomial. It is terms separated by addition and subtraction signs. Okay? That's all it is. It's a big word for what you guys have been using since September, right? Now, one of the things I want to talk about is we've talked about how and in what order we've written them before, right? Most of the times if we have more than one letter or one variable, we have to do it alphabetically, correct? What if they're all the same letter, though? We've talked about this also. What order? Yes. So we're always going to start with the highest exponent and put them in descending order, okay? So they're always going to go in that order.
4, 3, 2, 1, 1.
Well, technically, if I had an X here, it would have a what on it? For it not to be here and equal 1, it would have a 0. Very good, Bailey. So these are in descending order, and that's why our number always goes at the end. Okay, so today when we're writing things, we're always going to write them in what we call standard form, which is in this form. All right, so before we can keep going, though, one of the very first things we have to do is we have to learn to classify polynomials. That's what we're going to start with. When we classify polynomials, we do it by two words. The first word has to do with the degree. The degree, of course, is the exponent on your variable. And then we do it by number of terms. So when we classify, it's going to be two words, basically two words. All right, so what I want to make for us to help you classify is we're going to put together a little table. All right, so little table of classification. Move this up a little bit. Over here, the first thing I want to start with is degree. All right, if my highest exponent is a 0, which means that x to the 0, it became 1. If my highest exponent is a 0, the word for that is constant. If the highest exponent I have in my polynomial is a 1, the word for that is linear. The word for the highest exponent of 2 is called quadratic. If your highest exponent is a 3, the word for that is cubic. If your highest exponent is a 4, we call that quartic, like a quarter, quartic. If your highest exponent is a 5, we call that quintic. If it's anything higher than 5, so 6 or greater or higher, we just say it's that degree. So if it was 6, there'd be a 6th degree. If it was a 7, it'd be 7th degree. So it's that number degree. Okay, so that's your first word. The second word in classifying, it has to do with the number of terms. I'm going to put terms over here. If the polynomial had 0 terms, it wouldn't be a polynomial. So I'm going to put a little dash there because there is no such thing as 0. Right? It wouldn't be a polynomial then. If it's only got 1 term, it is called a monomial. If it has 2 terms, it's called a binomial. If it has 3 terms, it's called a trinomial. And then anything greater than that, so anything higher, is just that number of terms. All right, so let me show you how this works. Just kidding. Well, yeah, you just say it's a polynomial of 4 terms. That's what you say. Okay? So here is example number 1. And it has nothing to do with our book yet, so we're just kind of trying a little bit of this out. I just want you to classify some of these first. Classify. So let's say I have 3x squared plus 7x minus 1. My highest degree is a 2. So I look in my list at 2, quadratic. And then it has 1, 2, 3 terms. So it's a trinomial. Bless you. This is a quadratic trinomial. It's really not. So how about this one? What if I had 5y to the 4th plus 7y? My highest degree is a 4. What's the word for that? Quartic. And this only has 2 terms. So it's called a binomial. All right, what if I had 30? Now wait. We said the degree is on a variable. Do you see a variable?
That is a linear.
Oh, good try. Okay, so let's back this up. If there's no variable here, that technically meant that it was x to the 0 because it dropped out, right? And so this is called a constant. Yes, constant monomial. Very good. All right. Now you'll notice every one of them I wrote up here were all in standard form, right? When I had more than one variable, they were in descending form or descending order. So here's example number 2. This is going to get us a little closer to what you have to do for your homework today. Example number 2. This will be from numbers 8 to 28. So write in standard form and classify by degree and number of terms. All right, so let's say I have 3x squared plus 7x squared. What do you notice about those 2 terms? They have the same exponent. So they are like terms, aren't they? So we can combine these together. This is actually going to be 10x squared, right? I have 3x squared plus 7 more x squared give me 10x squared. Now we classify it. Our highest degree is a 2, so that's quadratic. And it's only 1 term, so this is a monomial, exactly. All right, let's try another one. going to get a little tougher on you. Say I have 7y to the third minus 2y to the fifth plus 6y to the third. All right, so the easiest thing to do is when you're going to write it in standard form is start with your highest degree. What is your highest degree in there? 5. So we're going to start with this term, and remember the sign in front of it always goes with this term. So this is the one that gets written first. Negative 2y to the fifth. The next one is y to the third. Well, I have more than one term that has a y to the third on it. I have 7y to the thirds, and I have 6y to the thirds. So how many y to the thirds do I have? 13. Very good. So 13y to the third. Now we classify it. My highest degree is a 5, so this is called a quintic. And it is 2 terms, so it's called a binomial. All right, questions so far? Okay. Yep. All right, so before we get too far into this, I got to talk about, of course, everything in math always has some special cases, right? Of course, there's always got to be some kind of little wrench that's thrown into it all. All right, so I want to talk about special case monomials. Special case monomials are monomials with more than one variable. For example, maybe I have 9x squared y to the third. That's a monomial, but it's got more than one variable in it. So this is a special case. To classify this, and it's only on monomials, add exponents together. So in this case, if I add my exponents together, it's all in one term, I get 5. The word for 5 is quintic. And this is, again, only one term, so it's a monomial. Okay? So here's example number 3. Still part of that 8 to 28. Oh, we still got a ways to go yet. I want to make sure that we're completely understanding, and it has been a long little break there. All right, so if we're going to classify, let's say I have 9a to the third b squared minus 2a to the third b squared. So first of all, what do you think I have to do with both of those?
You need to combine them.
Yes, we got to combine them together, right? Perfect. 7a to the third b squared. You're good. All right, so does anybody have a question where they just came up with 7? Okay. So now we got to classify it, right? So it's a monomial, and it's got more than one variable in it, so what do we do with the exponents? We combine them together. 3 plus 2 is 5. What is the word for 5? Quintic. And again, it's a monomial. So any questions regarding classifying? Okay, good. So let's move on to something a little more entertaining. Just a little more. No, oh no. No word problems today. In this chapter somewhere? Yes. Adding polynomials. Here's how I want you to think about it. When you are adding polynomials together, step 1, I want you to drop the parentheses. Step 2, collect like terms. And then step 3, write in standard form. Now, when I'm collecting like terms, I technically like to do both of those at the same time. This saves me a little bit of work, right? So as I'm collecting like terms, I'm writing it in the right order. So, for example, let's go. Oops, I went a little too far. Sorry, my bad. My bad. There we go. I'm on example, what, 4? Okay. And this is going to cover problems 24 through 30. Oh, sorry, 30 through 34. All right, so maybe it looks like this. We have 3x squared plus 7x plus 2x squared minus 5. So you have a polynomial added to another polynomial, right? So step number 1, we're just going to drop those parentheses. So I have 3x squared plus 7x plus 2x squared minus 5. Now we want to combine like terms. And as I said, I like to combine like terms and write it in standard form at the same time. So I'm going to start with my highest degree. I have 3x squared, and I have plus 2x squared. How many x squareds do I have? 5x squared. All right, so now those terms are done. What term would come next? Good, so plus 7x. So that takes care of that one. And then minus 5. Perfect. Very good, Joel. We have a quadratic trinomial. All right. Underneath the same example, kind of draw a little squiggle. I want to remind you this book is old. Okay? So, they have a few things written old school. So I just want to clarify before you see it. So maybe they have a problem looks like this. 7y to the third plus 2y plus 4y to the third minus 7y. This is written vertically. All I want you to do is write it horizontally. So we're going to take and just write it across like we always would, okay? And this is as if they look like this to begin with. So we're just going to say this is 7y to the third plus 2y plus 4y to the third minus 7y. Now I can go ahead and combine like terms, and I want to start with my highest exponent, which is y to the third. So how many y to the thirds do I have? 11 y to the third. Okay, takes care of those. Then how many y's do I have? How many? Good, negative 5y. I agree. Okay, so I really would like to see you write this horizontally and not leave it vertically. Okay, because it's going to get bigger and uglier, and that does not help us. Okay, any question on adding them? Pretty easy? Okay. Last thing we need to talk about then is subtracting them.
Is this just one example?
Probably.
So like, do you think I can squeeze it in on this page?
Yeah.
You write small. Alright, size 42 font.
All right, subtracting polynomials. Step 1, I want you to distribute -1 through second parenthesis. Step 2, again, we're going to collect like terms. And then step 3, write in standard form. And again, I like to do these two at the same time. Okay? Here's example number 5, which is going to take us the 36 through 40. So let's say I have 3y to the third minus 2y squared minus y to the third minus 6y squared plus 7. So I have a polynomial minus another polynomial. So the first polynomial, is there anything in front of that one? No. So we're just going to drop those parentheses on the first one. So I have 3y to the third minus 2y squared. The second one has that magical, wonderful 1 right there. So we're going to distribute -1 through the second parenthesis. So we have -1 times 3y, sorry, let me say that again. -1 times y to the third is negative y to the third. -1 times -6y squared. A negative times a negative is a positive 6y squared. And then -1 times 7 is -7. So any questions on that step? All right, now we're going to do 2 and 3 at the same time, right? So we're going to start with our highest exponent, which is what? All right, so I have 3y to the third, and I have a -1y to the third. So we have 2y to the third. Takes care of those. Moving on to the next one. What's my next one? Y squared. So I have -2y squared, and I have positive 6y squared. So positive 4y squared. And I don't wish I could. Sorry. We'll just have to stick with this one. And so what I have left over is -7. Exactly. Bonus question if I wanted to classify this. Go to the highest degree. What's the word for 3? Cubic. And it's 1, 2, 3 terms, so that's perfect. Good job, you guys. All right, so before we keep going, just a minute real quick. Again, I want to remind you this book is old. Okay? So if they have something written like this, 3x squared plus 7 minus parentheses 2x squared plus 1, write it horizontally. And then it's exactly what we always do. Okay? Any questions? Okay, awesome sauce. So you have 8 to 40 even. It really is not going to take you very long. Don't be afraid to leave your notes open to that table while you're classifying. Okay? That will help you. Yeah, just sign out for me, okay?